Once again, good morning to everybody. There were two reactions or feelings that are evident in our readings and the theme of the gospel. Una yung fear. Fear. Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid." Ano ba ang kanilang kinakatakutan? Well, we may speculate that they're afraid because they saw Jesus died on the cross. They saw how the authority during that time was overpowering them. They were indeed afraid. At nung pumunta sina Mary Magdalene and Mary, ay nadagdagan pa ang kanilang takot noong makita nila na walang laman ang libingan. Hindi pa nila naiintindihan nun ang pagkabuhay na maguli. Much more ay ang pagkabuhay na maguli ng ating Panginoong Hesukristo. Takot. May takot sa kanilang puso. O tayo, balot na balot tayo ng takot ngayong mga panahong ito. And many will say, well, that's a valid reason for us to be afraid. Sila, yun, ang takot na nagmula sa pagkamatay ng ating Panginoong Hesukristo. But as I said, Jesus was there to meet them and tell them, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And so in our prayers, we ask the Lord, Lord, remove this fear in my heart or in our hearts. Fear of the future, fear of what will happen. And sa tingin ko, yung overwhelming na fear is the fear of death. But then, the other feeling or the other reaction that they have is the joy. They were overjoyed. Very typical ngayon, lalo na sa ating mga nasa social media, yung nakakakita tayo ng mga posts ng mga pictures ng events in the past. Pag nakakita kayo ng gathering, titingnan nyo muna kung kailan ba kinuha yung picture. Imposible ngayon kasi walang mga face mask. Imposible ngayon kasi ang daming tao sa mga beaches. Imposible ngayon kasi ay parang walang kinakatakutan ang mga tao sa pictures. Lalo na mga pictures ng family, reunions, celebrations. At ang mga reaction dyan ay kailan kaya mauulit ito? I remember a boy who recited a poem about COVID. Pag wala ng COVID, yun ang kanyang tula. And he really recited it na he was looking forward to what will happen after all of this are gone. Kung ano ang gagawin niya, kung anong mangyayari. At itong ating mga disciples, maybe they have in their mind kapag nabuhay na muli ang ating Panginoon. Though of course, the human reaction, the human feeling, ay naandoon pa rin. But then, this Easter became the source of their joy. At sa ating lahat, ay ganun din ang isa sa mga mensahe ng pagkabuhay na maguli ng Panginoong Jesucristo. Na ang pagkabuhay na ito ay pagbubukalan ng ating tuwa, ng ating ligaya. And then Jesus sent them to share the joy of Easter, to share the good news, to remind others also that do not be afraid. At one point, inalis ang pinanggagalingan ng kanilang saya. Tayo, pag inalis ang pinanggagalingan ng saya, ay di syempre tayo ay malulungkot din. Sa kanila, at a brief moment, Jesus was taken away. Jesus was lying in the tomb. But on that morning, the tomb was empty. The Lord has risen indeed. At paulit-ulit yan, aagawin ang source ng kaligayahan natin, ang ating Panginoong Jesucristo. The truth behind the resurrection. It was mentioned here that the soldiers have their version of what happened, influenced by a bribe, influenced by the authorities, that this is what you are to say. His disciples came by night and stole him while we were asleep. And they said that, well, until now, this story has circulated among them. But on the other side, there is another story that is still circulating right now. Nung Sabado ng gabi at kahapon at ngayong isang season ng Easter, ay patuloy nating sasabihin ang istoryang yan. That Jesus is risen from the dead. Nagbibiraan nga kami sa dining. Sabi ko, be ready for this Easter season kasi paulit-ulit din nating ibabahagi ang pagkabuhay ng maguli ng ating Panginoong Jesucristo. But more than the storytelling is how these disciples of Jesus lived their lives until the end. Nung sinabi ng Panginoon na, do not be afraid, then they went on to share their version of the story. At may nabasa akong isang reflection, sabi niya rito, what has given the Christian version the edge is not the meticulous historical work of scholars or the arguments of the theologians, but the fact that the proponents of the Christian version, yan, ang ating binabasa ngayon, is the Christian version. Their followers have been and still are prepared to die for that version. One time I went to our mother house in Style, Holland. And one of the halls there contains the picture of so many missionaries labeled as martyrs. Yung sa atin kasi ang na beatified ay 4. But more than the 4 are those not so remembered martyrs, including there more likely are not so remembered missionaries who have their stories in life, and also that their life became stories of how Jesus was resurrected from the dead. The witness of the Christian life lived to the full is the best apologetic for the resurrection. And it's true, or I hope that will be true to all of us, that the way we live our Christian life be part of the storytelling that we will share about this Jesus who rose from the dead, this Jesus who have beaten the darkness and gave us the light that will guide us, that will shine in our lives, to guide us, to bring us to that true joy brought by the Easter, brought by Jesus when he rose from the dead.